General Hospital will reveal. Since the public announcement of Steve Burton's wedding to Michelle Lundstrom, his ex-wife has notably refrained from making any official statements. While her silence may appear composed on the surface, it has only fueled greater curiosity and speculation within entertainment circles. According to several sources close to the matter, her recent behavior has become increasingly erratic, emotional, and, perhaps most tellingly, loaded with subtle indications of inner turmoil. Without uttering a single word in interviews or press, she has managed to stir significant attention and suspicion through her carefully curated social media activity, which seems to be laced with veiled emotion and cryptic undertones that have not gone unnoticed. She has frequently posted nostalgic images from the past, many of which feature moments that fans and followers immediately recognized as being from her time with Steve. These posts, often accompanied by lyrical quotes or poetic captions, give the impression of someone reliving a chapter of her life she hasn't truly left behind. One such post featured a photograph of a sunlit beach, the same beach where she and Steve once vacationed with their children, captioned simply, "Some memories refuse to fade, no matter how bright the present shines." Another displayed an old photo of her wedding bouquet, wilted and pressed between the pages of a book, with the line, "Time moves on, but not all hearts do." While she did not name anyone, the implication was undeniable. Beyond just pictures, the tone of her posts began to shift. She began sharing quotes that spoke of betrayal, of watching someone move on too easily, and of being replaced before one has a chance to heal. Her captions, often dripping with irony or sadness, conveyed the emotional complexity of someone trying to maintain dignity while quietly grieving. One particularly telling post quoted Sylvia Plath, "Perhaps when we find ourselves wanting everything, it is because we are dangerously close to wanting nothing." The frequency of such posts only intensified after the news of Steve's engagement broke earlier this year, and reached a crescendo in the days following his wedding. Privately, those within her inner circle have voiced concerns. Several close friends reportedly confided that she has not emotionally recovered from the divorce, and Steve's rapid transition into a new marriage has left her feeling blindsided and displaced. While she had publicly maintained a gracious front during the separation, insisting that the split was mutual and amicable, it now appears that much of her composure may have been a facade. One confidant revealed that she had quietly broken down during a recent private gathering, confessing that seeing photos of Steve and Michelle with their blended family made her feel like a ghost in her own life, a woman erased and replaced with alarming ease. Further adding to the speculation is her recent withdrawal from the public sphere. She had been scheduled to appear at a charity gala in late April, an event she had attended annually since her marriage to Steve began. However, at the last moment, she pulled out without explanation. She also declined a series of media interviews that had been previously arranged to promote a wellness brand she had partnered with, prompting the cancellation of an entire campaign. Several fans noted that she had scrubbed her social media of promotional content and personal projects, and instead reduced her online presence to sporadic, melancholic musings that only deepened the mystery. Industry observers have interpreted this retreat as a sign of emotional distress, suggesting that she may be navigating a painful period of internal conflict. While no public feud has erupted, and she has never directly named Michelle or Steve in her messages, the timing and tone of her activity speak volumes. To many, it seems as though she is locked in a quiet war with her own emotions, torn between letting go and holding on, between grief and grace. This is not just a tale of a failed marriage but of the very human struggle that follows, the realization that love can be rewritten with someone new, that families can be restructured, and that the spotlight can shift without warning. Her silence has become its own narrative, one that resonates with anyone who has ever watched a former life be rebuilt by someone else's hands. In the absence of public statements, her actions, and inactions, have become the story. And as Steve embarks on a joyful new chapter, his ex-wife remains a lingering question mark, suspended between yesterday's heartbreak and the hope that healing may one day find its way to her, too. On May 17, Steve entered a profoundly meaningful new chapter in his life, one marked by love, renewal, and deep emotional resonance. In an intimate yet elegantly orchestrated ceremony, he exchanged vows with Michelle at a quaint seaside church, followed by a warm, picturesque celebration held at Montage Laguna Beach, with its sweeping ocean views and tranquil coastal ambience. The venue reflected not only the couple's shared love for nature and serenity but also the inner peace Steve seems to have finally found after navigating years of personal and emotional upheaval. The soft breeze from the Pacific, the golden hue of the setting sun, and the gentle sound of waves crashing against the shore created a perfect backdrop for what can only be described as a profoundly spiritual union. This wedding was far more than just a social event or another celebrity headline. It was a declaration of commitment between two souls who had found their way to one another through an unexpected but beautiful path. Michelle, a talented culinary artist and content creator celebrated for her creativity and warmth, first connected with Steve through social media. What began as light-hearted exchanges blossomed into a sincere friendship, and in time, that bond grew into something far more profound. Their journey, documented modestly yet meaningfully through glimpses on their Instagram accounts, spoke of compatibility, mutual respect, and a quiet joy that seemed to shine through even the simplest moments they shared. Whether exploring Disneyland, strolling through the streets of New York, or simply enjoying the stillness of a shared sunset, their love story unfolded with an organic ease that many dream of but few find. The wedding was attended by their close-knit circle of family and friends, including Steve's 3 children from his previous marriage and Michelle's 2 daughters. The sight of all 5 children gathered together, sharing laughter and embracing this new family dynamic, brought an added layer of authenticity and emotional richness to the celebration. It wasn't just the joining of 2 individuals, it was the weaving together of 2 families, each bringing its own unique history and love into the fabric of something greater. Photos from the event, quickly shared across social platforms, radiated joy. The warmth of the occasion was evident in every candid smile, every proud glance, and every joyful embrace. There were no manufactured poses, no scripted moments, just real, unfiltered happiness. Among the most memorable moments of the evening was when Steve and Michelle shared their first dance as husband and wife to Forrest Black's heartfelt ballad, I Choose You. As the lyrics filled the softly lit reception hall, guests were visibly moved. It was as though the song had been written for them, an anthem of unconditional devotion and the promise of unwavering companionship. With every step they took on the dance floor, it became clear that they weren't just celebrating a wedding, they were honoring a long journey that had led them both to a place of profound peace and hope. Beyond the emotional weight of the ceremony itself, the choice of Montage Laguna Beach as their venue spoke volumes. The setting, known for its understated luxury and panoramic coastal vistas, offered a sense of timelessness, an eternal quality that mirrored the vows being exchanged. And in a world where celebrity marriages often feel fleeting or performative, there was something remarkably grounded and heartfelt about this one. It felt genuine, rooted in real-life experiences rather than spotlight pressure or superficial glamour. Even guests like Jonathan Jackson and his wife Lisa, longtime friends of Steve, remarked privately how authentic the atmosphere was, how deeply felt every moment seemed. Equally touching was the conscious decision by both Steve and Michelle to involve their children at every step. Not only were the kids present during the ceremony, but they were also given meaningful roles throughout the day. One of Steve's daughters delivered a moving reading during the service, while Michelle's youngest helped hand out flower petals. This inclusion wasn't just symbolic, it was essential, reinforcing the idea that this marriage was not the start of a new family, but the continuation and expansion of one that already existed. Their union was a mosaic of shared lives, with each piece contributing to the beauty of the whole. Leading up to the wedding, Steve had shared his excitement in quiet, spiritual tones. His announcement of their engagement months earlier was not a flashy press release but a heartfelt Instagram post quoting the Bible, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a future and a hope." This deeply personal caption spoke volumes about where Steve was emotionally and spiritually, a man who had endured storms but emerged more centered, more appreciative of the second chances life offers. That sentiment echoed throughout the ceremony and reception, where guests spoke of redemption, healing, and love that arrives when least expected. Shortly after the ceremony, Steve and Michelle departed for their honeymoon in Hawaii, a place they had both dreamed of visiting together. Friends close to the couple mentioned that they chose Hawaii not just for its scenic beauty but because it represented balance, renewal, and a connection to the natural world, things they both value deeply. It's fitting that their journey as husband and wife would begin in such a spiritually restorative place, far from the noise and scrutiny of Hollywood. As Steve turns this new page, it's impossible not to reflect on how far he has come, not just as an actor beloved for his role as Jason Morgan, but as a man who has faced life's inevitable heartbreaks with quiet strength and emerged ready to love again. This wedding was not just the culmination of a romantic relationship but a celebration of resilience, faith, and the enduring power of love to heal and transform. In a world often marked by division and loss, their union serves as a gentle reminder that new beginnings are possible at any stage in life, and that sometimes the most beautiful chapters are the ones we never saw coming. However, beneath the shimmer of joy and public celebration that surrounded Steve's wedding to Michelle, a shadow quietly began to unfold behind the scenes of what appeared to be a picture-perfect love story. While fans and the media enthusiastically shared congratulations and admired the couple's glowing smiles, a more complex emotional undercurrent emerged, one that revolved around someone who had once stood in the very place Michelle now occupies. Steve's ex-wife. A woman who had once built a life with him and shared years of partnership, was conspicuously absent not only from the ceremony itself, but from the narrative that followed. Yet her silence spoke volumes, and her absence did not go unnoticed. There had been no official statement from her since news of Steve's engagement, let alone his wedding. Still, whispers in the industry and subtle signals online painted a picture far more layered than the cheerful headline suggested. While she did not outwardly express any bitterness, those close to the situation revealed that she was deeply affected by the speed and publicity surrounding Steve's new relationship. It wasn't just that he had moved on, it was how visibly and emphatically he had done so. From Instagram announcements to public appearances. From dancing with Michelle on a beachside terrace to sharing heartfelt wedding moments under a halo of fairy lights, Steve's happiness was boldly declared to the world. And for the woman who had once stood beside him, that kind of public erasure stung with a quiet brutality. Adding to the speculation was the notable absence of certain mutual friends, individuals who had once been front and center at Steve's first wedding, who had celebrated birthdays, holidays, and family milestones with the former couple. While a few politely cited scheduling conflicts, others simply chose not to attend, fueling rumors of divided loyalties and emotional tension behind the scenes. These missing faces led many to wonder whether a silent loyalty still existed for Steve's former partner, and whether some guests had chosen to opt out of the spectacle in solidarity with a woman whose heart was perhaps still healing. Insiders described her emotional state as fragile yet composed. Someone who was trying desperately to present strength while privately battling feelings of loss and displacement. After all, it's one thing to watch someone you loved move on, it's another to watch them find happiness so swiftly, so visibly, and with so much community approval. The contrast between the vibrant imagery of Steve and Michelle's new life together and the quiet, almost ghost-like online presence of his ex-wife created a narrative ripe for public scrutiny. She had been part of his story for years, yet within months, she appeared to have been edited out completely. In the weeks following the wedding, her social media became a study in subtle sorrow. She posted fewer personal updates, choosing instead to share vague musings, scenic photos stripped of human presence, and cryptic quotes about letting go, resilience, and the pain of starting over. There were no direct references to Steve, no sharp jabs at Michelle, and no public appeals for sympathy, but to those who knew her well, the message was unmistakable. She was grieving. Not just the end of a marriage, but the closing of a chapter that had once defined her identity. Meanwhile, Michelle maintained a graceful silence amid the quiet storm. She refrained from responding to whispers or speculation, choosing instead to focus on her role as a newlywed-in stepmother. Her social media feed remained a serene tableau of family dinners, beach walks, and the occasional cooking tutorial. In every photo, her eyes gleamed with affection, her expressions calm and composed. To outsiders, she exuded the energy of a woman fully at peace, wrapped in love and purpose. If she was aware of the tension unfolding beyond the edges of her carefully curated world, she gave no sign of it. This stark contrast between the women, the one in the spotlight and the one left in the shadows, gave the public a complicated emotional narrative to follow. And while the media was careful not to frame it as a rivalry, fans couldn't help but draw comparisons, whispering about timing, loyalty, and the emotional cost of moving on. The very swiftness and openness of Steve's new relationship stirred questions about whether hearts had truly healed before new vows were spoken. What emerged in the wake of the wedding wasn't just the celebration of a new beginning, it was the subtle surfacing of unspoken grief, of what gets left behind when love is redefined. It was a reminder that even in moments of joy, there can be those quietly mourning the end of something they once believed would last forever. And while Steve and Michelle stepped confidently into their future, arm in arm beneath the California sun, somewhere beyond the spotlight, a different kind of story continued to unfold, a quieter, more sorrowful tale of love lost, time passing, and the struggle to find peace in the face of someone else's happiness. However, it is undeniable that the shadow of the past still lingers quietly within the fabric of Steve's current relationship. Those who have closely followed this emotional journey can clearly see that while Steve now walks hand in hand with Michelle toward the future, echoes of his previous relationship continue to resonate in the background. Memories, shared family ties, and most significantly, the presence of children from that former union remain inextricably woven into his present life. This creates a complex emotional landscape where newfound happiness exists alongside scars that have not fully healed. On the rare occasions when Steve has opened up, he has expressed gratitude for the past, acknowledging that it gave him a deeper appreciation for the joy he now experiences. But whether that sentiment is enough to make those who once loved him feel seen or valued remains a question unanswered. As all eyes turn toward the couple's romantic honeymoon in Hawaii, emotional undercurrents from the past still ripple beneath the surface for those left behind. No one wishes for a real-life sequel to a dramatic love story. Yet the lives of stars like Steve are often swept into emotional whirlwinds that the public simply cannot look away from. And it is precisely this convergence of personal vulnerability and public curiosity that defines the complicated allure of the entertainment world, where love is not only a feeling, but also a battle between the heart, the truth, and the court of public opinion.